running against Barbara Boxer. Maybe I should just leave now. Thank you all so much for coming out here on a stormy night. I even see a Devore t-shirt there. Thank you, sir. I trust you actually bought that off of our store. You didn't accost somebody.
What did you trade it to Jimmy for a contribution?
All right. Perfect. I love it. I love it. It's great to be with all of you tonight. I think that it's so important that you're here. How many of you have felt your spirits be buoyed by the new revolution that has come out of Massachusetts? Yeah. I don't want to say that there's a few similarities here, but you know, I actually met Scott Brown in Taipei, Taiwan 5 years ago when we were both newly elected lawmakers. And I remember looking at this guy thinking, man, you know, he's a pretty good-looking, articulate guy. It's a shame he's a Republican in Massachusetts. He'll get elected to nothing. He was one of 5 members of the Massachusetts State Senate. 5 Republican members out of about 35 or 40. In Massachusetts, they have no Republican congressman. None. All right? That state is far more liberal than is California. I know that you find that hard to believe. All right? So he joined the National Guard at age 19. I joined at 20. We're both lieutenant colonels. There's a few similarities. We both have 2 daughters. We both have wives that run our lives. So I think there's a lot of similarities there. And I think that what I find remarkable about his campaign is in the last week, the national Republican establishment moved a modest $500,000 or so into his campaign coffers, while he was raising $1 million a day from the rest of the country through the internet. How many, any one of you in this room give to him online? Look at all of them. That's great. Now, last week, I just had a campaign swing through the Bay Area where I spoke 4 different times. I think you are my 226th event in the state of California since I declared for this office about 13 months ago. I have a little spreadsheet that I keep so I can keep track of all the different places that I've been. But I had a campaign swing through the Bay Area. And you wouldn't believe it. I know that you out here in Lincoln are going to find a hard time believing this. I know that my support group down in Orange County doesn't believe this at all. But my biggest, most active volunteer base is in the Bay Area. And I'll tell you why. 3 words. 3 words. Pelosi, Feinstein, and Boxer. Where I'm from in Orange County and where you're from out here, you're pretty much among some like-minded people, aren't you? And you're kind of feeling that maybe you're out of exile because the big urban centers in California tend to dictate your statewide elected officials. In the Bay Area, they have seen the enemy. They live with it. They don't take it for granted. And as a result, they are motivated. I've got over 300 people in the Bay Area that are helping us out right now. Now, it was these volunteers who asked me early last week, are we going to do something for Scott Brown? And I've been thinking about it. You know, like a typical candidate, you focus on your own campaign. This is a consuming effort, 24/7, 365. And I thought about it, you know, we should. I was going to do an email. Could you please coordinate with the Scott Brown campaign and let us know what we can do? And so my volunteers out of the Bay Area came back with all of these specific things, from phone banking to internet phone banking to contributions. We put it together in a package. We sent out an email to our tens of thousands of supporters on our email list. I don't want to give the actual number away anymore because it's getting pretty big. And I'm an intelligence officer, so I know how to keep secrets. So it's a big list. And I'm sure that many of you in this room got that email. And we also put the information about Scott Brown on our website. And sure enough, on Saturday, a couple of days ago, I went to a phone bank in San Mateo where 800 phone calls for Scott Brown were made from the Bay Area in California. And I'll tell you somewhat sheepishly, I had the unique distinction of being the sole caller into this group of Cambridge Republicans that we were calling. I got the sole response that was a no. It was a Republican woman They said, I'm not going to vote for Scott Brown. And I'm like, why did I have to call her? So big smiles, and they're like, I got another one, and another one's going out, and I get the curmudgeon that's like, no. And, well, whatever, at least we made some phone calls. And what I found interesting is that our campaign, because it's a grassroots, volunteer-driven campaign, it was the volunteers that really pushed me to get active with Scott Brown, and we did a lot for him. And I'm sorry to say that our opponents in the Republican primary, Carly Fiorita, didn't do a thing. She congratulated him after he won, and the race was called, and Tom Campbell sent out an email 5 hours before the polls closed asking his supporters to help. But I think that's the distinction between our campaign, which is a people-driven effort based on principles, and those of our opponents, who frankly I'm not quite sure what it's based on. Now what are those principles? You all are here because you care very deeply about America, and I'm presuming that some of you are scared, some of you are mad as hell, and some of you, this may be the first election cycle that you've ever been involved in politics. In fact, by show of hands, can I see, for those of you who are willing to admit it, how many of you prior to, had not been active in politics prior to the presidential election in 2008? That's exactly what I thought I'd see, okay? I spoke to a group in, it was the North Bay Patriots, I think, and there were some other groups there as well. In a little town called Cotati, just north of Petaluma, off, as we would say in Southern California, off the 101. Because, of course, in Southern California, we honor our freeway system. In fact, we worship it, so we always have to put an article in front of our freeway number. And I've never quite understood how you Northerners can get away with understanding when you say 99. You know, that's a number. That's not a freeway. The 99, come on, people. So, it was off the 101, and I was in this little manufacturing facility, standing room only group of over 200 people. And of that group of 200, you have some grizzled veterans here, but in that group of 220, less than 20 people had ever had any political participation prior to this election cycle. So 90% of the people there, this is all brand new. So a sleeping giant has been awakened, I think. And what is it that is awakening you? Well, I think I know what it is. I think that it's because you understand, in spite of the flaws, or manifold flaws in our public education system, you understand what the purpose of America is. I think that the purpose of America is very clearly stated in the preamble of the Declaration of Independence. Largely written by Thomas Jefferson in 1776. He had some help. But in the preamble, you have the perfect statement of what any good government for all time and in every place that has ever been should aspire to. We hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men were created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. That's the purpose of our government. That's the purpose of America. Now, if you understand that, then you understand what is the purpose of our Constitution. The purpose of our Constitution is to provide a framework within which that preamble can be realized. That's what the Constitution is for. And I am keenly aware as a military officer, and I'm sure we have a lot of veterans out here and family members of veterans and those currently serving. I'm keenly aware of the following because as a lieutenant colonel and as a lawmaker, I've actually sworn the same oath twice. And what is that oath that I have to swear before I can make any votes on the floor of the Assembly? To support and defend the Constitution of the United States, and of course, since I'm a state rep, and the Constitution of the state of California. So